Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick recap on finding ion charges and electrons the easy way. Remember, I said in the notes, or I'm adding this to the notes, that the ions I talk about at the bottom are pretty confusing because I'm referencing something that you'll learn in a couple units. And for your practice and your mastery check, the way I'm going to show you on here and the way I may have discussed it with you in class, is how you would need to do it. So this is much easier than what's explained in the notes. I just give you that note as a preface to what's coming up in the future so that when you hear it, it's not the first time you're hearing it. So first, let's go over some terms to just make sure you remember. So if I say we have a neutral atom, that means our number of protons is equal to our number of electrons. So if I don't give you a charge, or I don't give you a different number of protons and electrons, you just assume you've got a neutral atom. You don't just throw a charge on something for no reason. If you have a negative ion, so you see a negative charge on your ion, then that means that your number of protons is less than your number of electrons because you should have more negative parts for it to have a negative charge, right? The negatives didn't get canceled out. And then for a positive ion, the number of protons is greater than the number of electrons. You should have more positive parts for that. So now let's just go through a quick example each way. I'm going to give you the charge first. We're going to calculate it. And then I'm going to give you the ions first, and then the protons, electrons first, and we're going to calculate it. Then I'm going to show you how to calculate it from the charge to know your number of electrons. So if I were to say that we were looking at bromine, we want to know the number of protons because the periodic table gives us that. And if you look on the periodic table, it tells us that the number of protons is 35. Remember, the number of protons is the atomic number. That does not change, so we cannot change charge based on proton changes. Then for electrons, I'm going to say we have 36 electrons. Okay? It's like we add these two together to get our final number, but remember, our protons are positive values, our positive particles, our electrons are negative particles. So if we say we have positive 35 plus a negative 36, we know that's just like saying 35 minus 36. And that's okay because that means the same thing. So when you do this, we say 35 minus 36 is a negative 1. Okay? This right here is your charge. So it would go as an exponent or a superscript on your element symbol. Okay. Now, what if I give you the element symbol with a charge, and then you have to figure out how many electrons? So we can figure out the number of protons from the periodic table, which is 13, and we don't know the number of electrons. That's what we need to figure out. So what we can do is we can take this math problem that we just set up and calculate it for something else. So we've got our protons, which is 13. We don't know our electrons, so we're going to plug in an X there for basic algebra. We know what our charge was, which is what we should be equal to, and that was plus 3. Okay? So if we do that, we know we want to solve for X, and to do that, you've got to subtract 13 from both sides. When you do that, you have a negative X is equal to negative 10 because 3 minus 13 is negative 10, which tells you that X is equal to 10. So your number of electrons is 10. This should make sense because if our charge is positive 3, we just said positive ions mean we have more protons, so we should have 3 more protons. Well, if I have 13, then that means I only have 10 electrons. So this was just a quick recap. I hope this helps the light bulb go off for you guys in how to simply calculate charge or number of electrons from whichever one you're given.